I think that with the rise of AI, one of the fields that's seen the most hurt or impact is the art world, including the digital media, but mainly the traditional media. Painting is a dying medium, drawing is a dying medium, um, sculpture, ceramics, these fields are dying out. Nobody's really participating in them like they once would. Even the digital drawing. I mean, I guess that's staying relatively constant, and animation is staying relatively constant. Although from what I've seen online, it's had somewhat of a dip in the industry. But for the most part, the digital arts are staying relatively at the same. Video art and stuff like that staying at the same. Although you don't hear much about it. But traditional art is definitely dying. Oil or acrylic painting, pencil, pen, charcoal, Conti, all manners of drawing, all dying out. Some people don't even know the terms that I just said, or what the materials are, because it's really not widespread. And I think that that has to do with the rise of technology, obviously. That was bound to happen. The rise of technology, people are becoming more focused on what the devices can do rather than what the the pigments can do, what the graphite can do. They don't care as much because technology offers a lot of capabilities. Yes, it does. But especially with the rise of AI, it's somewhat taken away from the creativity of the art world. And I think one medium that is going to persist and be AI's greatest adversary is photography. And probably not film photography. That is also a dying medium, but digital photography. I won't go into how film photography is dying because, well, nobody has access to a dark room, and creating a dark room yourself is difficult. Nobody's going out to buy the materials, they're very expensive. But digital photography is very accessible because it's on everybody's cell phone. You don't necessarily need a Canon or a Nikon to go out and shoot photographs. All the editing can be done right in here, all in that device, or in this device. You can transfer the files over and use any editing program. There's a lot that are free. Microsoft Clipchamp, you know, Adobe Photoshop is it's paid, but if you're a student, you can probably get access to it. But what I'm saying is that the digital photography and editing is more available and or most available actually than any other medium, and that's why I think it's going to be AI's adversary because AI is going to continue to take over the landscape of everything really. It's not just, computers that it's affecting. It's not just RAM that it's the RAM prices have gone up. Um, it's affecting school. definitely. People are not doing the same work anymore because AI has become a part of the daily routine just because it's so good at organizing and answering questions. But it's not just those fields that it's affected. It has affected the art world. You can go to um, ChatGPT right now and ask it, make an image of a style of this painting for me, and it'll do it for you. Put in any artist, Picasso, Monet, Brock. Put in any artist. You can even put in the specific painting, and it'll generate an image for you that sometimes it's garbage. I mean, some of these AIs are better than others, obviously, but the point I'm making is that it's killing the creativity, and people are using it for the creation of art. There's a lot of, especially in the ambient music space, because I'm a part of that. I am a big fan of ambient music. A lot of the thumbnails are AI, a lot of the imagery, even some of the music is AI because AI can make quiet, slow music that drones on relatively good. It's hard to tell the difference between well, not hard, but AI is okay at making that kind of music. I mean, if you go to AI and ask it to make a rap song, good luck. It's not going to do shit. But it's going to be hot ass. But if you give it a prompt to make ambient music, it will be able to do it. It's being used in all of those thumbnails. And it's kind of taking away from the person being like, hey, maybe I should make the thumbnail. Maybe I should draw it. Maybe I should paint it. Or maybe I should take a photograph. Some of them I'm sure are using it, but a lot of them aren't. A lot of people aren't that are just using art as a as like covers, like using it for thumbnails or album covers or something else to like propel something else that they're doing, like music or something. And they're not thinking, hey, maybe a part of making this music or a part of making this project or anything is a part of making the cover or the thumbnail myself. And I think the easiest way to do this is photography, digital photography. Digital photography, in my eyes, is the greatest art form. Well, not digital, photography in general. Photography in general. But this video is mainly about digital photography because of how it's going to combat AI, in my opinion, in the art world. I think it's harder for AI to make a photographic image than any other image because painting and drawing it can be up to loose interpretation, but a photograph you can generally tell when there's flaws in it. Although some of those can be abstract too. Usually you have familiar objects, hands, buildings. You can tell when a photograph is faked, kind of. But in my eyes, photography is the greatest art form. It is not like the others. Photography is simple and accessible, and it's beautiful. Photography is the most subtractive art form. The others, you add to the canvas, you add to the page, right? You're focusing on a few objects or a scene still, right? But the process is additive. Photography is subtractive. It is the one art form where you're already provided all the information. It's just about framing the composition. It is like that in other arts too. If you take a painting, you say, I'm going to focus on just, especially in all still lives, I'm going to focus on just the bottle or the bowl or the apple or the orange. And you paint it in extremely minute details. You paint in all the fibers and everything. But it's an additive art in the sense that you're looking back and you're replicating the information or creating it from an image in your mind, right? But that's not what photography does. Photography, all the information is already there. It's already located out right through your viewfinder. And all you have to do is zoom in, move to the left, frame all the elements you want, and snap and show people what your eye sees. And photography can get especially beautiful with abstract art, with abstract forms. You look at plants, you look at buildings, some of my favorite things to photograph. I could throw up some photographs that I have on the screen. I don't know how they'll come out. If I put some up, I don't know how they'll come out on this relatively choppy quality video. But they're some of my favorite things to photograph because of just how sublime of a feeling you get from looking at these things. Because A, they're so realistic. That's the best thing about photography. You don't have to worry about messing up if you want to go down the route of realism, of course. You can do the whole pictorialist, draw on your photographs, splice negatives together, and enlarge into some weird art. You can make it look very not realistic, but for the most part, most people are going for realism, and you can achieve it very easily. It's so available. It's so in our hands, at our fingertips. You can frame anything you want. You can take a picture of anything you want and really focus on how to make it such a awe-inspiring photograph. There's so many elements of photography that you learn in like a beginner's class or something. And it's just really so beautiful to see all those elements come together. Your rule of thirds, leaving space for motion, creating making sure there's a simple background, high contrast, low contrast. A lot of the rules are antitheses of each other because you can have a background that's simple or you can have a background that shows a lot of context. You know, there's just so much you can do in photography. It's my favorite art form because all the information is there. You decide what to do with it. You don't have to add anything, you have to subtract. You take away until you can show me what you see. And because anybody can do it, I think that this is going to be the dominant art form for the future just because of how we all have cameras in our phones and we all have access to editing software and making some people are going to do hyper realistic photos with good cameras on with good quality phones. Some people are going to do abstract stuff, soft focus grainy photos. I can't wait to see it all because I really love looking at what people can come up with in the medium. And I hope that my hope for it is that more people will participate in it and AI won't like take over completely over the art world. It's really not it's not a good thing to see it so pervasive in the art field. And like I was talking about before, anybody who is making art and is using AI as a like a means of propelling it out, you can just as well do it yourself. If we never had AI, you would have to do it yourself anyway. Might as well see what you can come up with. You have a creative mind. Everybody is creative in their own right. Photography is going to be the future. That is my hope. It's my favorite art form. I think it's the greatest art form. And I think it's going to be the most commonly seen. And just because it's common doesn't mean it's not going to be beautiful. People are going to come up with great things. They already are. I'd rather really see the takeover of photography than the takeover of AI. Everybody would. Everybody would. Everybody would rather see that. I don't want to see what a robot can come up with. Although they can create beautiful images, it's just not human. That's what gives photography its beauty. The human choice to subtract things, to take away the edges of the photograph and just focus directly on what's in my viewfinder. That's what makes photography so special. It's much more active. You can travel and take photos anywhere. You can't exactly bring a French easel with you everywhere. You can bring a notebook with you everywhere. Yeah, you can. But what's better than a notebook in most people's eyes? You take it with you anyway. I think there'll be some cool stuff that comes out. I think that's generally where we're going to head. More towards the digital arts, but especially photography. Drawing is a way less common practice than just taking photos. People take selfies all the time. Although that's can be argued if it's like a part of the art world. It's not really, unless you're talking about the means of it intentionally being a self portrait. But I don't think it usually is. But anyway, that is my hope for photography. That because it's so available and so simple and you can do all manners of stuff with it, realistic or abstract. I hope that more people will look into photography, look into cameras, how cameras work. Figuring out how a camera works is a very fun process. Figuring out all the reasons why light interacts with the opening of the camera, with the sensitivity of the sensor, how long the shutter stays open, right? All these things, these terms you will learn: aperture, shutter speed, f-stop, ISO. It's such a fun process, and I hope more people get into it and upgrade from this into Canons and Nikons. I don't know if Minolta makes digital. I'm not sure. I only know that they made film cameras, but I hope more people get into actual digital photography and take it like truly seriously because it is such an accessible art form and it remains just as beautiful as any other. A good photograph is just like a good painting. There's no difference apart from the actual timbre of the medium. timbre, apart from the actual timbre. Yeah.